After the weekend of staying in the hotel that the couple put me in, the lady in the orange shirt allowed me to have a safe place to stay for about a month. This month was filled with many different opportunities: shelter, food, power washing jobs, landscaping jobs, bike rides, golf cart rides, learning more about Jesus, meeting many different people and hearing their stories. She even got me dental help. As amazing as these opportunities were, and as amazing as the lady is, there became some problems. We started to not understand each other, disagreeing and arguing often. This is something I learned within that month that perfectly fits. Matthew, how can you say to your brother, "Let me take the speck out of your eye," when all the time there is a plank in your own eye? You hypocrite. First take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye. I believe we both had planks in our eyes. We started to judge each other even with the knowledge of only God can judge us. We both unknowingly let these planks block our vision for lifting each other up. These planks even blocked our ears from listening and understanding each other. I turned to the serenity prayer for guidance. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I told the lady with the orange shirt what I have come to realize, but these planks did not allow her to actually hear and understand what I was saying. I cannot change that. Through one of the opportunities offered to me, which didn't work out, I learned my dog, Nova Grace, who I left behind, was not truly being taken care of. I can change that. I will forever be grateful and wish the best for the lady in the orange shirt, but it's time for me to go. I thought leaving Nova was best for her, but I was very wrong. The trip to go get her started halfway through the day. By the time I arrived, my bike battery was dead and the sun was going down. Thankfully, we were able to stay for the night and leave in the morning. Seeing Nova for the first time after a month, I hardly recognized her. She was very skinny, had patches of fur missing, and bumps and rashes all over. It was as if she had been alone all this time. I was filled with so much regret, sadness. That night I cried myself to sleep, holding her tight. The next morning I spent a few hours making sure the bike and trailer was ready and safe for our journey. I also spent time making sure all of our stuff was properly packed. With everything ready, Nova and I traveled back to the area where the dentist offered me help. With my teeth being as bad as they are, I can't pass on this opportunity. I knew this journey wasn't going to be easy, but these next 2 weeks or so proved to be very hard. There were many kind people in this area, and because of them, Nova and I was able to have food and water. With any spare money, we stayed at the campsites. Mostly we slept behind dumpsters or in parks. Typical homelessness. If you didn't know, as of December 27th, 2024, USA Today reported more than 700,000 people are without shelters. Those are only ones that are counted. There are plenty more uncounted. There are over 300 million Christians, though. Really, no one should be homeless. I did a fast Google search to see what comes up in the Bible about homelessness. Luke. Jesus says that people should invite the poor, crippled, lame, and the blind to banquets and they will be blessed. Hebrews. The Bible says to not forget to entertain strangers, as some may be angels in disguise. Matthew. Give to the one who asks you, and do not turn away from the one who wants to borrow from you. Sins and judgments are destroying each other. As our days went on being homeless in North Carolina, my dentist appointments kept getting pushed further away and the weather began to change. Winter is coming and I need to make a choice. Should I risk staying for the dentist, possibly freezing to death, or risk going to Florida where it's warm? I chose to leave, head to Florida. This trip starts on the east side of North Carolina and ends in Orlando, Florida. Many people doubted this trip, saying things like, "I can't do it with an e-bike," "Nova will hold me back," "Florida isn't safe for a solo female," and "not having income, I'll die." Those things encouraged me to prove them wrong. At times, though, I started to believe they were right. Now I have to prove myself wrong. There were only a few who believed I'd achieve this goal, encouraged me to do it even. Ruth is one of the few. I met Ruth at a very low point at the start of 2024. We met at a camp in South Carolina, and because of her, I was able to survive the time I spent there. Even came up with a plan for what was going to happen when I left camp. She was also the first person that opened my eyes and heart to Jesus this year. Similar to the lady in the orange shirt, Ruth listened with no judgment. We come from very different backgrounds, so as much as she opened my eyes, I believe that opened hers also. As strong as her faith is, she never pushes it. To this day, a year later, she never speaks of God unless I bring up the topic. Because of her faith, her kind heart, and her adventurous soul, she was also going to Florida to be part of the hurricane relief in Tampa. As much as I persevered through the days and nights, I was losing the race away from the cold weather. Ruth understood I wanted to execute this trip on my own, but she offered a helping hand, which I gladly accepted. All I had to do was make it to the camp in South Carolina, and she would pick us up on her way down. Around 300 miles and many struggles later, Nova and I made it to camp. There was so much relief making it to camp, not only because I finally have a safe place to be at night, but Ruth is on her way. I thought I could rest now, stop stressing, but I was very wrong. This trip had tested me in so many ways. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done. Honestly, it was harder than getting and staying sober. This night at camp proved it can get harder and worse. This night was cold and wet. I made a small shelter using a bike, trailer, a tarp, pine needles, and 2 blankets. I didn't have enough wood to burn through the night, so I couldn't use a fire for a heat source. I was cold, tired, hungry, and in severe pain. My teeth attempted murder this night. As much as I want that to be a joke, it's not. I was in the most pain I've ever been in this night. Screaming and crying, I wanted to knock myself out. I'm pretty sure everyone around me wanted to kill me. Most times I tend to worry if I'm bothering someone. This night I did not care. If screaming in pain until I was out of breath helped, that is what I did. Finally, after many long hours, the sun came up. Ruth should be here in a few hours. When I looked into my phone, I seen my face, only it doesn't look like my face. The whole left side is 3 times bigger than normal. I honestly started to panic, thinking I was about to die. I told Ruth about this, and we agreed to get to a hospital when she picks Nova and I up. I spent a little time arranging my things so it'll fit in her car, and because it was still cold, I decided to lay out a blanket in the sun with Nova and wait the rest of the time for Ruth. I ended up taking a much-needed nap. A car door closing woke me up. It was Ruth, in a very tiny white car. I was so happy to see her I could have cried. I might have, I don't remember. All I do know is we packed up and went to the ER. Ruth stayed with Nova while I went inside. I spent 4 hours in the ER in pain and no help, so I caused the scene to get meds and left. After stopping at a CVS to get my prescriptions, we finally began the trip to Florida together. Ruth has now saved my life twice. Or maybe it was God's doing. I don't know, but I'm very blessed and thankful for Ruth being in my life. As time went on, my face went back to normal. I got a shower, did laundry, and mostly I was able to have a relaxed time and good conversation with a close friend. Sadly, this good time came to an end in 2 days, where Ruth helped me get my things together and we said our goodbyes. Being in Florida, I only had 3 goals: stay warm, get help with my teeth, and get Nova into a vet. As of January 2025, I can gladly say within 4 months I've successfully achieved all 3. I am proud.